Welcome to Punchboard Paradise. I'm Chad.
Hey, I'm Clef.
And I'm Richie.
This is our Kickstarter preview for the game Pipeline by Capstone Games with design by Ryan Courtney and art by Ian O'Toole. Pipeline is a 2 to 4 player strategy game about laying pipe and refining oil. We're going to go to Clef for the rules overview, and then we'll come back together and give you our thoughts on the game.
The main objective in Pipeline is you're going to be purchasing crude oil that is going to come in different colors, and you're going to be using Pipeline to refine this oil into low grade, medium grade, and high grade oil, which at that point then you're going to be able to sell back to a refined market for money or do contracts or orders that will also get you money. And then at the end of the game, whoever has the most money is the winner. Now the game will be played over the course of 3 years. In each of those years, there will be different amounts of rounds. In the first year, there's going to be 8. Then in the second year, 6. And finally, in the third year, there will be 4 rounds. Each round will consist of each player placing their worker on one of 10 different action spots, then possibly being able to do a secondary action, and then finally being able to possibly run your machines on your pipes. After everyone has done that, that will then move to the next round. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about each of those actions. Okay, so at the crude market action, you would place your worker, and then you have the ability to buy any of the 3 colors of oil barrels from the crude market. The cost is just going to be above each barrel of oil or cube. You take it, you pay that much money, and then you put it on your own personal player board on one of your own tanks. Nice thing is, like I said, you can purchase any 3 of the different colors from the crude market. Okay, so the next 3 action spots that you can go to are the refined market. So there's refined market 1, 2, and 3. In each of these refined markets, you're going to be able to purchase crude oil, but only 1 color of crude oil in each refined market. Then also in the refined market, that is where one of the places you're going to be able to sell your upgraded oil back to make money. The big thing though in the refined market is you have to purchase all of your oil before you sell any of your oil. So now that I have my cubes or my oil, when I've purchased it, I'm now going to need to put it onto my player board. Okay, so when you purchase your crude oil, you're going to bring it over to put onto your tanks. Each tank tile can hold up to 2 cubes. Doesn't matter if they're mixed or matched. When you buy your crude oil, they go in the bottom row, which is the crude oil. And here in a moment, when we talk about refining oil, that is how you're going to move it up into the low grade, the medium grade, and the high grade. Also on your player board, you're going to have a nice little summary of what you do during the work phase and also the machine phase. It also has a nice little thing about what you're going to score money for at the end of the game. So that's your personal tank farm where you have your tanks where you place your crude oil on. Okay, so the next action you're going to be able to take is purchasing pipe to make your own personal pipeline, which is how you're going to refine your crude oil into the higher grades of oil. There are 4 different quadrants of pipes that the government offers. You're only going to be able to go to 2 of them in the first year, then the 3rd one in the 2nd year, and finally the 4th one in the 3rd year. To take the action, you will simply place your worker on one of the tiles. That one you will purchase, and then you have the option of purchasing any of the orthogonally adjacent tiles that is next to the one that you purchased. Now you can see the purchase price over here. You're going to get for $5 for the first one. 2 of them is 10, but then you can see it starts to jump up in price as you start to purchase more and more. but obviously the more you purchase, the more efficient it is. When you purchase it, you'll simply pull that one, and then any of the others that you decided to purchase, you'll leave your worker there, and then you will take these tiles and take them over to make your own personal pipeline. Okay, so now that you've purchased your pipeline, you are going to be making your own personal pipeline system. Now, as you could see on those pipelines, they are going to come in 3 different colors, which are going to correspond to the colors of oil barrels. So when you place your tiles, you can place them in any configuration as long as one of the pipes connect when you place it. So for instance, if I'm placing this, I could place like this, or I could place it like this. When I buy new pipe, I can continue on with more pipe going this way, and if I bought another one, I could go this way. I don't have to all put it in the same spot, just as long as it is connected to the board. You also do not have to have it the same color connecting. However, it will be beneficial to have as much of the same color connecting as possible. So now let's talk about how do you refine oil. Well, if you see right here on this chart right here, this is always going to be random to start each game off with. You're going to have these numbers, and they're anywhere from 4 to 7. You're going to shuffle them up, and you're going to place them on this chart. As you'll see here, we've got the orange, the teal, and the silver. This is all the crude symbol right here, and it is showing us that to move from a crude orange oil barrel up to a low-grade orange oil barrel, it is going to take us 4 points of refinement. Same thing with going from a teal to a low grade, it's going to cost us 4. But you'll see here to take from a silver to a low grade silver oil barrel, it's going to take 7 points of refinement. And then it will start to show you how much it's going to cost to go from the low grade to a medium grade, and finally the medium to the high grade. So if we go back over here to the player board, what you're doing is you are starting to connect these tiles, and every link between the kind of the cutoff point or the cog here that you have is going to be one link for the number of refinement points. So if we add up this blue pipeline that I have going, I would say I have 1, 2, 3, because it doesn't matter if it's going under or over here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 links, which are for refinement points. So if I go back over here to the chart and look and show, if I have a teal oil in my crude oil area, I have at least 4 points to move it to the low grade area. Now, I can now look and see, do I have enough to carry from the low grade to the medium grade? Well, if I take my 11 on minus 4, I still have 7. I still have enough, so now I can use that that refinement and that pipe to move that up to a medium grade. So now I've used 9 of my 11 points that I had of links. So now if I look to see, can I go from mid-grade to high grade, it's going to take another 5 points. I don't have enough. I only have 2, so those other 2 links are just lost. So I was able to turn this crude oil of the teal color into a mid-grade oil. Now, if I was to use this silver one that I have going here, and I counted it, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 6 links there. If I go over here right away, I can see that I cannot take a crude oil into a low-grade oil because I only have 7 points worth of, I don't have 7 points of links to get it up to a low grade. Now you can see if I already had it as a low grade, I would be able to refine it into a mid-grade because it only took 4 points, but to start with, I would not be able to move it from the crude to the low. And then finally, if we look at my orange one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this particular pipe. Well, if I look over here, I have enough to take my orange from a low grade, excuse me, a crude into a low grade, but I don't have enough to take the low grade into the medium grade. Now, so that's just the pipes on the board. Now, I really haven't explained how I activate those. So basically the 6th action that we've had is going to be placing our worker on our own personal pipeline. So if I place my worker here on this tile, I am going to activate all 3 of the different pipes that are running out of that particular tile. Now, as you can see on this one, I have just a little, half thing here of a silver. So if I run that, that's only 1 point worth, doesn't do anything. But then now this one will run my blue, or excuse me, the teal color of the pipe. So on this one though, since I have like the little connection here, it's only going to run this one pipe one time. However, if I came over to here and put my worker on this tile, I have this link here, so that's going to activate my silver one up here. I have the orange one on it, so that's going to activate my orange one. And then I have the teal one on it, so it's going to activate the entire teal one. Doesn't matter where you are in the middle of it, it's just simply somebody starting that entire run. So if I had all this, I could actually right away turn that crude teal into that mid-grade. I could turn that crude into low for the orange, but unfortunately, even since I was able to run this silver one, I wouldn't be able to upgrade it at this moment. Now, if later on, I placed another pipe there, and now I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to give me enough. If I was to have placed here, I could have moved all of my cubes in that one action. So definitely your spatial recognition is a huge part of this game, of trying to get this where you're running as many of your pipes in at most efficiency as you possibly can to try to upgrade those oils. Okay, so here are the contracts. The contracts do not have to be purchased. You simply just would take them. When you take them, though, you do have the option of either making them active or inactive, basically deferring them to the next year. If you make them active, you do have to complete them before the year is out, or you get a penalty. If you defer them, then they will just be active the following year, and once again, you'll have to complete them, and if you don't, you'll get a penalty. The nice thing about contracts is that it's a free action to take your oil off of your tank farm and place them on the contract, and you get money instantly when you do that. It's a good way to kind of get your money flowing. Okay, so the other thing that you can do, as I said in the contracts and loan, is take a loan. When you take a loan, you're going to get $15, and when you take that loan, you get a red penalty cube. You cannot get rid of these penalty cubes. They are with you for the entire game. At the end of the game, they will give you negative money, or you'll have to pay money for each red cube that you have, and that subtracts from your score. So just remember that when you take a loan, no way to get rid of these. The next action we're going to talk about are the tanks and pipes and the machines and pipes. So with the tanks and pipes and the machines and pipes action, basically the first thing you're going to be able to do on either one of those actions is either come and purchase machines or purchase tanks. You can see the prices are over here on the side. You can purchase, if I went to the machines action, I could purchase as many machines as I wanted to, that I could afford. Same thing with the tanks. I can purchase as many tanks as I want to. The only restriction on the machines is you do have to have a pipe to place them on, a pipe tile to place them on. And the tanks obviously will go onto your player board, onto your tank farm. The other thing that you can do at the tanks or the machine shop is purchase more pipes, more pipe tiles. Over here, there are going to be a certain number of pipe tiles depending on the number of players that you have. I have this set up for a 4-player game. And you can see here, you're going to be able to purchase, if you can get 2 for 15, or you can purchase 4 of them for 40. When you purchase these, you'll once again still add them to your own personal pipe network. And that's pretty much all you're doing at the tanks and pipes and at the machines and pipes. Okay, the last action that we need to talk about is the upgrades action. The upgrades is where you can purchase cards to get specialists that are going to give you help throughout the game. Okay, so here are the upgrade cards. There are 7 different upgrades. Each game you're going to randomly choose 5 of the 7 to play with. You'll put them in order. There are 3 different levels for each upgrade. When you come to the upgrades action, you actually can purchase up to 2 different upgrades. When you purchase an upgrade, you pay $20. You'll flip this over. If you don't have any of that particular upgrade, you'll take the level 1. If you already do, you would take then the level 2. If you already have the level 2, you would take the level 3. The unique thing, however, is once you purchase an upgrade from a row, this flips over and basically makes it where you may not purchase any of these for the rest of the year, you or anybody else. The next year, once it flips back over, that's when you could possibly go and buy your level 2 upgrade. So, like I said, on your action, you could purchase up to 2. So I could come here, pay 20. I could come over here and pay 20 and take these 2 as my actions. But then for the rest of the year, I'm not able to purchase any more from those rows. Each one of these is going to be like a specialty thing that is going to help you kind of break the game or help you out during the game. Like, for instance, this one that's called Government. It says immediately receive 2 government pipe tiles, and then each year receive an additional one. If you can actually get to the second level, you actually says here, you receive immediately 4 government pipe tiles. And finally, the last level says immediately receive 6 government pipe tiles. So these can actually be hugely, hugely helpful, and each way does something extremely cool and awesome in the game. So these are the upgrades. Okay, so those are the 10 actions that you're able to take during the course of the game. Now, once you've taken your main action, if you took it on one of the main 8 actions that are on this kind of this plus sign, so basically not the government pipe tiles or your own personal pipeline, if you took one of the other 8 actions, you have the opportunity to do a secondary action. That secondary action will cost you $10. So for instance, I'll just give you an example. If I had done the upgrades action, after I got done with it, I could pay $10, and then I would be able to move to that same part of the kind of the plus sign here and do that secondary action, which would allow me to do the Refine Market 2. Or if I was on the Refine Market 2, I could pay $10 to go do the upgrades action. You can, however, not jump over to one of the other spots. So here, Refine Market 1 would just simply go with tanks and pipes. That is why these tiles, you'll shuffle these up to start the game off with. So this will be a different for the secondary actions each game. Now, after you either choose to do a secondary action or choose not to, the last part of your action is to run your machine. So earlier in the game, I kind of said you could go to the machine shop and purchase machines, but I really didn't tell you what else you could do with those. So now I'm going to kind of show you what you can do with a machine. Okay, so when you purchase a machine, you immediately have to place it on your pipe tile network. You can place it on any tile you choose. It just has to go on one half or the other. It can never be off the board. You'll notice on a machine, it has 4 different areas or pipes that are coming out of it, so it can run up to 4 different pipes. So I'll show you here, if I was to lay this machine here, when it comes to the, after I've done my main action, like I said, and after I've done, if I did a secondary action, I can choose to run all my machines at the cost of $15. If I pay the $15, I run all of my machines. So in this instance, where I only have one, we'll just show you with the one. What it's going to do is it's going to run every single pipe that is coming out of that machine in a separate link for the refinement. So for instance, let's take this orange one here. So this orange one coming out of this top, I still have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links here. The other orange coming out of it, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are now separate pipes where before they might have been connected, now they're separate. So if I'm running this machine, I can actually take 2 of my orange that would be on my tank farm, and move those up separately. So here where it takes 4 refinement points, if I had these 2 in my crude oil, I could immediately run this one, would run that one up 1. The other one would run that up 1. Then I would look at the teal. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I look over here. It only takes 4 to go from the crude to the low and 5 to go from low to medium. So I would be able to use this one. So if I had a teal, I could move it all the way up. And then if I also can run my last one here, but see if I look at that, it's only 1, 2, 3. So it actually would not move up another cube. Always remember, every oil barrel that you're running through your pipe only can run through one refinement pipe to be moved up. So you can move up multiple steps with the same pipe, but you can't use another pipe to then try to add on to it or try to move that same cube different. I could never take one, if I only had one orange cube here, and even since my machine runs this one at 4, or this one at 4 and this one at 5, I could not move that up 2 spots because it's the same oil barrel. I can't move it through 2 different pipes. So, but like I said, you can run all of your machines. So if I also had another machine up here, I could run this silver and this, running all this, and I could run all those at the same time, all for the cost of $15. There's what you're going to be doing on each of your turns. Like I said, everybody taking those turns, doing their main action, possibly secondary action, and then running their machines is their turn. Everybody does that. That is going to do 1 round. So like I said, you have the 8 rounds in the first year, 6 in the second, and 4 in the third. So the basics of this is you are going to be doing these things to be making money. That refined oil, you're either going to be selling it to the refined market, you're going to be doing contracts. There are also orders that are on the board that anyone can complete at any time. However, in orders, you have to complete them all at the same time. So for instance, this particular oil order that says it needs 4 high-grade teal oil, you would have to have all 4 of your teal oil in your refined on your board on the high grade to be able to complete this. This is another free action, and it gets you a certain amount of money. Those 3 ways are how you're going to be making money in the game. At the end of the game, we're going to score. There's going to be a few different things how you're going to score more money. First of all, any money you have left on your tanks, on your personal player board, are going to be worth a certain amount of money. Then you're going to go and evaluate your pipelines. Any of your pipelines that are going to produce a certain level of refinement will score you a certain amount of money. Obviously, the more refinement it can do, the more money it will score you at the end of the game. Lastly, we are going to have valuation cards. So there's always going to be 4 valuations that you're going to be scored on at the end of the game. One is always going to be the same. It's going to say the value of your pipelines that are run by your machines. So basically the same thing that you were just doing a second ago scoring on your pipelines, but this is only the value that your machines run it at. And then you'll have 3 random valuations that will score at the end of the game. Out of approximately, I think it's 15 different ones, you're going to randomly pick out 3 of them. So for instance, this one here says for each $10 for each tank you have on your tank farm at the end of the game. So it might be really good to go after tanks. Or this one here says you're going to score the value of any orders you completed during the game again. So that could be really huge. On getting a big order, you're going to double that up. So those valuations, since they change each game, are a really big way that the game has replayability and variability, because these are going to dictate a lot of how you're going to play the game. Okay, the last thing you'll do after you score all those 3 things is you will then see how many penalty cubes you ended up with. Certain number will get you the certain amount of money that you'll have to pay or lose. Everybody then will add up how much money they have. The player with the most money wins the game.
This here is a bona fide Punchboard Paradise game. Richie, tell them why we love this game.
I would say definitely the combination of the tight gameplay and the long-term planning that's required in this game. It just makes it a game that's right up our alley.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tight, it's tough, and that's what I love about it. It is a great game.
You know, one of the things that I was really surprised about with this game is the pipe, the laying of tiles. It's a tile laying game, and I don't always enjoy tile laying games, but in this instance, I love the way that you're trying to use spatial concepts to really plan and put your pipeline together, because you've got to refine oil, you've got to make these segments add up to these numbers here, and you've really got to make sure that the tiles you're going to get stuck with, because sometimes you get stuck with these tiles, that the tiles you're going to get stuck with are going to match up to what you've been planning on for rounds and rounds. So you're trying to fit these colors together and make it long enough that you can add up here. And I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm not usually a big tile laying person, but I liked it in this game. It really gave me that, once again, that heavy strategy type of thing, trying to figure out how to put those together. And boy, I'll tell you, I've played a couple of players that are really good at putting it together, and ooh, they'll just cream me because they're really good at that. But yeah, I like that part too.
Yeah, and if you're not good at it, like me, even though I love the game, you will fall into these little penalty cubes or loan cubes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
and like you talked about in the overview, I mean, you can't take too many loans. Yeah, otherwise, you're going to be out of it fast. So
yeah, they can really add up near the end of the game. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and that's one of those things in this game where you may be stuck. You look at your options and somehow you missed your plan, and all of a sudden you're looking around the board going, oh no, how do I get more money? How do I get more money? And those are sitting there. You're going, you know, so
I want to take another loan.
Right.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, and the thing I also like about this game is how do you make money? There's a few different options that you can do. You can go and always sell at that refined market, which will get you more money than anywhere else, but it always takes an action to do it. Right. And boy, the actions are so tight in the game that it's tough to take those actions sometimes. But the other ways that you can earn money is by the contracts, which you can take multiples of those contracts at a time, and as long as you're able to fulfill them before the end of the year, you can kind of do them at your own pace, and it's a free action, so it doesn't take you another action to get them. And then the same thing with the orders. You can just fulfill those all at the same time and really make some big money out of them. So I really like the versatility of how you can, do those different ways to earn the money.
Right. And I mean, the one thing that I love in the game is the upgrades. Just being able to, fight over getting up the different levels of the upgrades. That's why player order is so important in this game, and it's just really interesting to actually be able to change that, I mean, almost every turn if you really need to.
Yeah, for sure, because when you're trying, especially at the end of a year, you might want to be flipping because you only get one upgrade of each type each year. And boy, if you let somebody, and I think strategy-wise, and not to go too much into strategy, but boy, if you let somebody go all the way up to upgrade 3 on one, that could be bad because those upgrade 3s, even upgrade 2s are pretty good, but the third upgrade in this is amazing. So you definitely want to watch that for sure.
And that's where the interaction comes in this game, actually. You may not think that there would be a lot of interaction, but there definitely is. So a strategy is you got to look at your plan, but you can't ignore everybody else. So if I see that Richie is really moving up that upgrade track, man, I better pause my plan if I have enough actions this round to do it and grab that upgrade so that he can't get all the way up there. Same thing with the market. There have been a couple times where you can mess with people by driving up the market a little bit so that their plans totally get foiled.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that was very interesting to me is sometimes with the way the tiles come out for the refinement, you might have like the orange cubes might take like a 7 and a 6 to just go from crude to low grade to mid grade. And so then maybe everybody's like, ooh, I'm going to stay away from orange. But it can be a strategy to kind of go, well, if everybody else is going to stay away from orange, I'm going to go for it. Because you're going to be able to buy the orange oil barrels cheaper where everybody else could be fighting over the other oil barrels. So it has that too.
Yeah. And I mean, I see, Chad, you've been hugging that box for this entire time.
Well, what can I say? I love Ian O'Toole. I mean, Ian O'Toole's art. I love Ian O'Toole's art. And, you know, when I first saw this game, you know, and we've got a prototype here, but it really is a looker. I mean, I have really liked his work since the first game that he did together with Vital Lacerda and Eagle Griffin Games. And this, honestly, I had to think about it for a minute and see, you know, is it just the art that's influencing me? But honestly, this does kind of feel like a Vital Lacerda game. So props to first-time designer Ryan Courtney there, but it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I mean, if I wouldn't have known, I could have said this was a Lacerda game. I mean, I'd have no doubt about it. It's very well done. It's got, you know, those intertwining mechanisms that Lacerda does in his games. And yeah, absolutely. Now, I may not be as much as a fanboy as Chad here is of Ian O'Toole, but it still looks nice too. And you know,
yeah, it's beautiful art, and yeah, like you guys have already said, there's a lot going on, but it meshes and melds well, and it plays fantastic.
And the other thing is, when we haven't quite talked about, there's the valuations for the game. There's always going to be a mixture of new valuations every game. I think there's like 15 different choices or something like that, and you're only going to be picking 3, and it really can dictate how the game goes.
Right.
Because it's kind of like, well, in this game, pipe might be really important, or different oils are important, and so there, or even upgrades, and that will make you how you kind of go through the game.
So, if you like the kind of games we do, you need to get your clickety-click finger out and pledge to this.
Clickety-click finger out.
On, give me
all right. That works for me.
And pledge to this game, Pipeline, by Capstone Games and Ryan Courtney with Ian O'Toole art.